Hi, I'm Emily Z, one of the operation directors here at FutureBridge, and I am from Illinois. I will be in ninth grade in the fall.
Hi, I'm Emily Wu. I'm the VP of Art, Reading, and Writing here at FutureBridge. I'm from Virginia, and I will be in 12th grade in the fall. So today, Emily Z and I will be interviewing Jennifer, who is a Board of Directors member at FutureBridge.
Hi, I'm Jennifer. As Emily introduced me, I'm one of the board of directors here at FutureBridge. I studied at Wellesley College in Massachusetts and majored in psychology and economics. And I also have a master's of science in industrial organizational business psychology from University College London.
So today we will be asking Jennifer different questions about college that you might have as well. So let's get started with our first question. So question one, what were the benefits of attending a relatively small-sized college?
Yeah, I think attending a small-sized college, you really see the benefits come through in terms of class sizes, and related to that, the type of discussions that you're able to have when you have a much smaller class size, and also the type of teacher interaction you get, and then the various opportunities you have because of that all come through with a relatively small size college. I think the community is also super tight knit. Even people who you aren't friends with, you start to recognize them just because you pass them so much on campus. So you just get a really familiar feeling no matter where you go. And Wellesley is really small, but almost everyone lives on campus. So it just feels really much like a really nice small community.
Yeah, I think for me, one of the biggest things in school is like interacting with the teacher and having them be able to help me with questions and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. So at Wellesley, you pretty much don't get classes taught by TAs like you do at a lot of large universities. It's the professors teaching you, and the professors who go to Wellesley, like they know a huge component, like much bigger than at a lot of other universities. A huge component of their job is teaching, not just research. So they really like teaching, and they're there to be there for students. So you're able to cultivate really great relationships with them.
Okay, so our next question was, how did you ultimately decide on a major or a minor?
So at Wellesley, it's a liberal arts college, so you actually don't need to declare your major until your sophomore year. Everyone goes in undecided. I ultimately decided on psychology and economics because I was always interested in behavioral economics as well as just concepts on human behavior and motivation. And I felt like psychology and economics covered that pretty thoroughly.
All right, so to expand on the college experience, were there any opportunities for things like dual enrollment, studying abroad, or like rotational classes to be able to broaden or explore just different subjects?
Yeah, definitely. So like I mentioned in my previous answer, Wellesley's a liberal arts college really does encourage you to explore things. Part of that is saying like, don't declare your major. So they don't want you to start taking major classes right off the bat. And that's really to explore exploration. This is a bit of a tangent, but something that they also put in place is shadow grading for your first semester. So no one has to feel pressured about doing well in terms of grades. And it's all about adjusting to college as well as exploring subjects that might be totally unfamiliar to you. In relation to dual enrollment, so there are opportunities to enroll in courses at nearby institutions. So there's Brandeis, Babson, Olin, MIT. I think those are all of them. So you can enroll in those and you can get credit for those classes, and not just for like regular semesters. I also did a MIT cross registration class during winter session, which is like that month in January where you're kind of on break, but there's a lot of different opportunities you can decide to do. For studying abroad, yes, I'm a big proponent of studying abroad. In case it was obvious, I got my master's abroad, but I actually studied abroad at the same school my junior year at Wellesley. So Wellesley does encourage people to study abroad, and there's a study abroad office advisor for people who have questions, but most people do go there junior year. A lot of people choose junior year spring because the spring semester is longer. So you'd be doing 2 terms versus 1 term in the fall. So that's why a lot of people choose spring. And there are a lot of different programs. So if this is something people are interested in, definitely they can do their own research. But like I said, they can ask questions for the advisor that Wellesley has. And then in terms of rotational classes and doing exploration, so you actually have graduation requirements that you have to take classes in a ton of different subjects. So it goes from like history and English related classes to like science and lab related classes and whatnot. So you actually you have to explore a lot of different subjects. But we also have this shopping period near the beginning of each semester where you can actually sign up. Actually, I don't think you even need to sign up. You can just show up. You can show up to as many courses that you want to just see, oh, I just want to see what this class is about. I want to see how this professor is like. Let me sit in on the first class. And you can do that, and you can switch around your registration during the first few weeks of each semester. So that's I think all the systems in place that Wellesley puts to make sure you're really exploring and getting the most out of your classes.
Cool. So how was the social environment at Wellesley pertaining to extracurricular activities as well as classroom interactions?
So I think I'll start with the classroom interaction part because that's a bit closer to what we were just talking about. So class sizes are really small, even when you have like bigger intro classes. Maybe there's 30 people. Like that's how big your classes will get. And then as you level up like in the 200s or 300s, so these are higher level courses, there's also like 300 level courses that are specifically called seminars, they are geared towards being discussion heavy. Those classes are as small as 6 people. So you get to know your classmates really well, as well as your professor, and definitely big on discussion, which I think is quite different from a lot of, so when I was attending classes at University College London, much different environment, big university, a lot of classes were huge, like took up auditorium sized rooms, and it's really just like the professor talking at you, and that's kind of your whole experience. I think that's what's pretty special about classroom interactions at Wellesley. In terms of extracurricular activities, yes, there are a lot to do. So one thing I will say is like Wellesley can be pretty high pressure. Like there's a lot of people who are academically strong and also high achievers. They push themselves a lot. So I think a lot of people might think, oh, I need to do well in classes. I'm not going to do as much outside of classes. But I do want to encourage everyone to at least pick one extra thing to do, just to make sure you're not just one track minded on schoolwork. So your experience is more enriching, but also you get to meet more people and also on a different level than just like classroom discussions. I think a lot of my close friends I made through the organizations I was part of. So for organizations, I think what makes Wellesley pretty great is there's no individual membership fee depending on which club you're joining. So part of your tuition is this, everyone pays this fixed amount of like student organization fee. So all that money gets pooled and gets distributed to the clubs. But what that means for you as not like a club executive board member, so you don't have to care about funding as just like a regular student, what that means for you is you can just show up to any club event that you want to. And I think that's really great because you don't have to from the beginning think like, oh, which club should I join and pay a fee for, and then I feel like I'm stuck to it. You can really just show up to some clubs. Like for me, I would just hear, oh, this club's hosting a lecture, sounds interesting, like the campus is small, I can get there, so I'll just like walk there and like listen to a lecture, and or like see some different cultural shows. And it's just really fun to be able to explore like that as well.
Yeah, I really like how Wellesley is like encouraging you to do all of this exploration for your future, because it's like a really important thing that you need to do. So that's what I like about your school.
Great. Yeah, I think that social environment is definitely really enticing to me, especially like the part where you can just explore different clubs. I think that's really interesting. So a lot of the people that might see this video are in high school or transitioning from high school to college. So what would you say is your biggest takeaway about this very huge transition from high school to college?
Definitely. So I would say the biggest difference that students might feel is when you're younger, a lot of what you do is just your parents telling you to do something. And you kind of only have two choices. One is to just do it, and the other one is to say no, but then you'll probably get into argument. It's not a fun time. So you end up just doing things because your parents told you to. But once you get to college, you really are on your own, especially, well, I went from like California to the East Coast. So that distance also helps you feel more independent. So all of that, it can feel like jarring to be like, whoa, like I'm totally on my own. Whatever I do with my own time, it's all on me. And I think that can be a tough transition for people who are like used to too many rules and suddenly have no rules. So figuring out like a balance at the beginning is good. So I do think, yes, explore, but also don't put too much on your plate at once because you have that leeway. So I think managing a good balance is probably the toughest part. And I would say be mindful of when you're doing that transition.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Especially like people in the Asian community, definitely parents play a very big role. Okay, so what would be some of your general advice or tips for students currently looking to apply to college?
Yeah, so if you're planning to apply for this cycle, the most practical advice I can give you is to start early. Um, Writing essays is just going to be hard. There's no other way to put it, especially personal essays when it feels like they're digging into your soul. So like truly you wouldn't want to finish it quickly because the product wouldn't be good, and it also wouldn't be the best reflection of yourself that you can present. So even if you don't turn out like an essay in one sitting, just slowly just jot down ideas, write some outlines, start putting things together, and don't be afraid to write more than you'll eventually use. So then you can eventually have a really tight application package. For people slightly younger, I would say start figuring out why you want to go to college. Like college isn't the end game. So I hear a lot of students and parents having a mindset of, oh, if I do this, will I get into college? And it's like, sure, but also why? Like if it weren't for college, what like bigger skill would you be learning that would help you achieve the goal you want after college? And I think that's something that Future Bridge actually mentions a lot, which is finding that intersection between passion, talents, and values. So once you figure that out, when you do get to the essay writing stage, it will help you think of things more quickly, just because the things you do will align to these bigger ideas. So then your story will become much more coherent once you sit down and write it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Thank you for that advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was all of our questions. I hope everyone that watched had a really good experience and learned a lot. Thank you for coming here and answering all of our questions, Jennifer.
Thank you both for asking great questions. I really enjoyed it.